Okay guys, what I'm doing is showing you, at the moment, I'm showing you my natal chart, but I'm going to show you something about progressed charts, which are really good to look at and quite important in astrology. So what we can do is that we can look at our, I'm going to give you an example, the difference between a natal chart and a progressed chart. So with a natal chart, this is my natal chart, and you can see that I'm Scorpio rising. And what we have is that we'll have the moon, which is currently in Leo. You can see up here, the moon is in Leo. The moon will then move into 25, 26 degrees Leo. You can see here moon, 24 actually, 20, coming up to 25. And what's going to happen is that when it hits in a few hours time, it's going to go into, it's going to hit Virgo, it's going to go into Virgo. So it will vary for each of us depending on our time of birth. We will know where the moon is going to fall, and when it moves into a sign, it stays there for 2.5 days. So now I'm going to show you, if you get that, so you've got 2.5 days there, 2.5 days in Libra, and it'll just keep moving all the way through 2.5 days. And each time the moon hits a planet, so you know, whether it conjuncts or it squares our natal planet or whatever it's doing, or an opposition, it will get a feeling for what's going on inside of us. So how we can look at astrology is more to do not so much with predictions, but what are we feeling in the moment. So if I'll give you an example, my Mars is currently moving through the 3rd house, so I'm being very directed in my communications. I seem to be making more YouTubes, I'm dealing with a lot more people on Zoom and doing sessions, and I'm also speaking to friends. So, and a lot, you know, we can begin to see what Mars means and then what house it's in. So astrology is a beautiful tool to understand ourselves at a deeper level. I'll give you an example. So in order to, this is my belief and what I understand now at this point, that in order for us to be able to work with other people, we need an ability to step into their different subjectiveness of another. So if I can't understand another subjective world, then I'm not really going to get them and I'm not going to understand them. So it's a really beautiful tool to have, to be able to see subjectivity and how it's different for everyone, and to accept that about each other and be tolerant of our differences, because what causes a lot of problems is that we don't understand where people are coming from. And it's a very useful tool. Carl Jung used astrology in his practice so that he could understand people at a deeper level as well. So you can check out who Carl Jung is. I'm just going to show you actually. So you know, this book here, it's called The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, which I'm currently reading. And this book is by Carl Jung, who was born in 1875. And he's not with us anymore, but his work is. And definitely the symbols and the symbology, it's all meaningful. We all basically projected into the stars in time that man looked at the planets, and everything that exists, even God, like our idea of what God is the same thing. It's a subjective experience that we put out there, what God means. So if you ask somebody what God is, everybody's going to have a different view of what it means or what it feels like. For some people it will be something they might see, like an image, and for others it's going to be a feeling. They won't see an image. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the progress chart, and we're looking at the moon. So what we have is that this is the 1st of May. This is my chart, but it's also a progress chart. And if you go to astroseek.com and you go to free horoscopes, you put in your birth natal chart data on the online calculator, then it's going to give you a understanding or a ability then to look at different areas. So let me go back here, and if you go, right, it's not the beginning, but just play with this system, AstroSeek, it's brilliant. The other one I'm using, so you know, this is astro.com, so astro.com, and this one is AstroSeek. They're different types of charts, and all I've got below on this progress chart are the progress planet, the aspect, the birth planet, and it shows you what's going on. The moon, now remember I said to you that the moon on a natal chart and a transit, like a traditional chart, the moon's going to move 2.5 days through a sign. But on a progressed chart, the moon is going to move through a sign in 2.5 years. So something I got from Wikipedia earlier. The house occupied by the moon in the progressed chart represents an area of life which is particularly demanding of a person's energy and attention for however long it takes for the moon to progress through that house in its annual, so it's about 12 degrees, that's what it's saying. It's good. I got lost there a bit. So it is notable that when the moon reaches the last 5 degrees of the house, that means that the work would have been done, like the observation of any work that's begun. So if you can see here, this is the progressed moon here. This is my natal chart on the inside, and the progressed moon. So if we look here, the moon, birth, progressed, is at, it's got, that's 2021. We're going to go back to 2020. Okay. So 1st of May 2020. What you can see, the moon is at 6 degrees of Gemini. So the moon will be there. If we jump a year ahead, I'm going to show you how this works. So we can see it's 6 degrees. And then if we go a year, so you've got an option, a drop down box here. You can go ahead a day, you can go ahead a week, or go ahead a month. Actually, let's try a month so you can see what happens. So you've got 6 degrees, the moon, okay? We're going to go a month ahead. So we're going to jump a month ahead, and it's going to be 7 degrees, going into 8 degrees. And then if we go another month ahead, the moon's going to be at 9 degrees. Going into another month, in August, it's going to be at 10 degrees. So you can see it's moving much slower. And the moon really is a really important aspect in progressed charts. We're looking at the inner planets in a progressed chart, secondary progressions and progressed chart. We're looking at how the planets move, because that will really give us a real life view of what's going on for us now. So I'm going to read a little bit now, that the main significance of progressed planets is when they form aspects with planets in the natal chart. Progressed planets are usually limited to an orb of 1 degree either side of the natal planet. The following is a brief description of the effect of progressed aspects. So progressed sun, a period of major importance psychologically and through correlative circumstances. The time will be ripe for important adjustments, organizing and integrating the whole life pattern as directed by the planet involved in the aspect to the sun. So we'll have the aspect, but we'll look at where it's going through as well. So you can see that at the moment I've got the sun in 22 degrees in Cancer. Now that's in a progressed chart, but what's going to happen is in 8 years' time, because the sun's going to move a degree a year, in 8 years' time, my sun is moving into Leo. And then I will have a different, something different about me. It will be quite pronounced the first year of that change. That's what happens. A progressed moon is a period of about 1 month's duration in which affairs and psychological features associated with the planet will be emphasized and activated. The progressed moon often acts as a trigger to activate patterns already set by other progressed planets. A progressed Mercury usually indicates changes and necessary readjustments, increased mental activity, travel, and written matters, and above average importance at that time, like literary matters. A progressed Venus period of much importance as regard to emotional, personal, and creative interests can mean marriage, falling in love, or falling out of love, inspired creative work, birth of a child, or an emphasis on money matters. A progressed Mars period of increased activity, conflict, enterprise. Energy must be controlled and impulsive action avoided. Subject is more accident prone, can be an ideal time for taking initiative or tackling work that has piled up. So let's just give a little example here. We've gone to September 2020, but we're going to go back to May. Whoops, today is May, no, lost there. We're going to go back to August, July, June, May. So you can see that my progressed Mars is currently at 2 degrees Cancer. And if you scroll below, you can see where the progressed planets are. So I've got the sun in the 8th house, the moon in the 7th, Mercury in the 8th, and Venus in the 7th, and Jupiter in the 8th there. So you can see we're really looking at the personal planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and that's basically what we're looking at. And you can see that I've got a lot of 7 and 8 there. So it's about relationships, and it's about merging, and it's about depth, and it's about others. So for me, you know, it seems this part of my life and going forward is very much about others. You can see if we take the moon, we can have a look, and you can see if I've got what's going on with my moon currently. So my moon is quintile Chiron. So the moon is our emotions, and with it quintile, this is a spiritual experience of my healing that's going on with Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So then we'd look at, that's the birth planet, that's in the 4th house for me, and the moon is currently in the 7th. So this is to do with relationships as well. Then the moon is square Lilith. So Lilith is, the moon is again the emotions, and Lilith is the wild in us. It's the woman who, you know, in all of us, the archetype, it's not just the feminine in a woman, it's the feminine within society, within the collective, and with the men as well. Like men have us females, we have the, you know, the feminine and the masculine, and the same for the men. So this is a really good thing to explore. If you want to explore your chart with me, then I'm doing $20 only whilst I do social distancing as that's going on. And I'm going to see how that changes at the end of May, because I'm normally $70. But I'm here to help and, you know, to share my knowledge and help people understand their charts. And also when I work with people, I evolve as well, and so do others. So that's it for today. And I'll be back with some more tomorrow.